Well, I'm super glad that everyone's here again today, and I hope you all feel welcome and excited about what we have today. We have lots more workshops than we did yesterday. Yesterday we had 2 rounds. Today we have 3 rounds, right, of workshops. Hopefully you've chosen all your workshops. It's on your in your packet on the schedule of the day. Descriptions of the workshops. If they're not in your packets, they're outside. So if you haven't decided, who here is presenting today? Who here now is going to be a presenter later today? Presenting later today. You can raise your hand a little higher. Okay, great. So I'm glad you're all here and really super excited. I'm also very excited to introduce our co-executive director, Diana Ayala, to officially open the day.
Good morning. For those of you who are new today, welcome. And for those of you who were here yesterday, thank you for continuing the conversation. Yesterday, I left thinking and reflecting on Ruth's talk and thinking about my journey and thinking about why I'm passionate about this work. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself for those of you who don't know me. Through the practice of nonviolent parenting, I've been able to learn the value of empathy, of connecting language, and how important it is to know the development of a child's brain and even adults. And so, how was I introduced to nonviolent parenting? Well, at the age of 13, I got pregnant, and I enrolled in Ruth's parenting program. And up until that age, I was considered a good girl and obedient. My mother was always praised. Ay, qué niña tan obediente tienes, they would tell her. And I didn't really know what that meant, but I did know that it made my mom feel good. And so I liked when my mom felt good. So what's a girl gonna do but to be obediente? And so what does obediente mean in my family? It meant that I was to do what I was told. It meant that I needed to respect my parents, adults. And how did I become obediente? Was by being shamed and humiliated and punished. And this is what happens to a lot of children. And I was thinking about, oh, it's because she's probably one of those families, like you called them, yesterday. But the truth was that my parents weren't so bad, in a society that has implemented systems and standards of where children are not seen, where children are only seen but not heard. So it wasn't until my daughter was 1 that I came to Ruth's class. And I remember coming into her classroom, and she had long butcher papers everywhere that said, break the cycle of violence. And every day, can you imagine hearing Ruth? I mean, the people who were here yesterday, that was 4 times a week, 3 hours of parenting, hearing, break the cycle of violence. I mean, this was her, break the cycle of violence. And she spoke against no spanking. And I remember the first day. Of my parenting class as she was talking about spanking. And I would raise my hand, and I would raise my hand, and I would raise my hand. And I was really obedient. And so she called me, and I said, I was spanked, and I turned okay. And I thought a lot about what that meant, because clearly I didn't think that the challenge of having a child at 14 was okay. Except for having a child at 14, I had been an okay child to have. I was an okay kid, and I wasn't ready for someone to take away that okayness from me. But I knew that something was wrong. And I knew that I didn't want my daughters to feel the way I felt growing up. I knew that I wanted something different. And so I distinctly remember making the decision that I would not trade obedience for fear, guilt, or shame. I came from a family that didn't value formal education. Um, it was speaking English. High school diploma was good enough, and I did get a GED, a good enough diploma, isn't that what they call it? And speaking English was more than enough for my mom, as it's still a big challenge for her. I still hear her infamous, "I don't speak in English," all the time. And her dream for me was that I could work at the DMV. I remember she wanted me to work at the DMV. But I knew that I wanted something different. I knew that perhaps I could break the cycle of violence, that perhaps I could break the cycle of poverty, that I wanted something different. I so this is when I decided that I was going to graduate high school. But more importantly, I graduated in nonviolence. Well, not really. You never really graduated from nonviolence, or at least I've been having 21 years of it, not graduated. I knew there was a better way, a healthy way for me to raise my daughters without having them feel shame, humiliated. There was this thing called nonviolent parenting. So, with a lot of support from Ruth and probably the strength that my parents instilled in me, I was able to go to college. I was able to graduate from UCLA. So, so my parents were thrilled, Ruth was thrilled, and I was thrilled. My daughters are 22 and 17 years old, and they are not obedient. But they are empathetic, they're compassionate, they're smart, they're emotionally intelligent, and they're connected to me, and I'm connected to them most of the time. 14 years ago, Ruth called me, and she wanted me to help her with her dream to bring nonviolent parenting beyond teen mothers. So 14 years later, I never dreamt that I would be here as a co-executive director, and I feel honored to work with the team that's put on this conference. I'm honored to be or surround myself with people who are committed to this philosophy and practice. And I'm honored to be here with you today. So thank you for coming, and again, welcome.